So the conclusion we can make here that black cannot allow bishop to h6 and knight g5, this structure, because this construction is already very close to a winning attack against black's king. Well, this on f5, and in some cases black wants to retake, g takes f. Attack continues simply by playing bishop h6 and play f takes e, knight g5. White can sacrifice here whole center and whole queen side in exchange for a king, because they're going to be made in few moves like bishop takes g7, rook takes f6. It's very difficult to stop this mating attack. This answers the question, what would white do if black simply plays d6 and castles? Actually, Kasparov, when he played this position, he knew how dangerous castling on king side. That's why he castled queen side. But if you castle king side, if black castles king side, then after f5, this attack looks very promising for white. Now let's go a few moves back in this position. So we more or less, in this position, we more or less covered d6 move as a fifth move for black, d6. We more or less covered. Now let's see a couple of other moves. We saw already e6, and that leaves us with the best move, knight d4. Knight d4, fifth move, is the best and probably the most expected move. And after knight d4, theoretically, best move considered to be castle. Another theoretical move is a4. And the move we want to discuss now is bishop to d3. This is a strange looking move and ugly looking move, but it has certain interesting ideas, and I recommend this move. Now, what's the idea behind bishop d3 move? White closes its own bishop on c1, but white has some other ideas. Now black has to make choice, and we're going to explore these ideas as we go. The best move for black is d6. And why, we're going to see now. Suppose black does not play d6. There are moves like e6, knight f6, and knight takes f3. No, knight takes f3 just doesn't do anything to black, because black has made 1, 2, and 3 moves with the knight to exchange to the knight that made only 1 move. So knight takes f3 is not recommended. But e6 looks like a most natural move. Now what black wants to develop its knight on e7 and have a good position. However, e6 is a bad move. And why e6 is a bad move? Because white plays knight takes d4, c takes d, and white plays knight to b5. And all of a sudden we can see that black is experiencing big problems. Threatening knight d6 check cannot be allowed. black has to stop knight d6 check by playing either queen b6 or d6. Queen b6 is bad because of e5, and next move knight is coming to d6. So if black plays d6, then c3 is very, very strong. Now this happened in one game that was played in 1980, about 15 years ago, between Gerald Benjamin and Geller. Gerald Benjamin had this position, and this position I considered as a bad for black. Let's see what happened. After c3, black went knight f6, Benjamin played knight takes d4, and black played e5. Here Benjamin made a bad choice. He went knight e2 and got bad position. Correct way to play for white here, to go knight to f3. The idea of knight e2 to protect the f4 pawn. But after knight f3, if black gets this pawn, then black simply has a bad game. Because there are two ways to get big advantage for white. One is a check, bishop b5, bishop d7. For black, white plays bishop takes d7, check. Queen takes to d7 for black, and white goes d3. Now white is attacking black's pawn on f4, and after black plays knight h5, white castles, and white has practically extra pawn in the center. Even though pawns are even, black's position is simply very bad here. So this cannot be recommended for black. On the other hand, there is a question. Why would Geller go for that position? The answer is very simple. The answer why Geller went for this position is because he did not expect problems that he faced. He faced problem after knight b5. After d6, c3, he faced these problems, and he had to sacrifice the pawn. Now let's see what happens if black does not sacrifice the pawn. a6 move loses after queen a4. And black must play king f8 since there is no other move. On queen d7, knight will take on d6, or even knight c7 check, and white wins. And after king f8, queen to a3, and black's position is ruined. Now let's see what happens if black takes on c3. D takes c, white plays d takes c. And now black has to make a choice. Again, the threat is queen a4, which would win the game. a6 is bad because of queen a4, so black must develop the knight, this knight on g8, and then if white plays queen a4, black will castle. But where to develop this knight? The only and the best place is knight to h6. This is a weird and a bad place for knight, but that's the only place. Now, the reason why knight e7 is bad, because then white has simple combination. Knight takes d6, queen takes d6, and bishop b5 check, winning the black's queen. Notice this knight on e7, which stops black from playing king e7. So therefore, knight e7 is bad move. But why is knight f6 bad? Because then white plays bishop to c2, attacking this d6 pawn. And only way to protect this pawn is by pushing it. But then after e5, white attacks knight, and next move will be knight to d6 check, which stops black from castling, and black's position is going to be very dangerous. So that leaves us with only place for this knight on h6. And then we play bishop c2, forcing d5 and going e5. Now black castles and white castles. Now what's white's plan in this position? White does not want to come to d6 with a knight. Knight wants to go to d4, where it holds the central position, and we call it permanent knight because it cannot be chased away. So, and after knight d4, white will play bishop e3, bishop f2, try to transfer bishop to h4. Black's position is very bad. Notice, let's compare the power of pieces. This knight is much better than black's knight, white's knight. White's dark square bishop is much better than black's dark square bishop because it has much more mobility. And the black's light square bishop is the worst piece on the board because it's blocked with its own pawn structure. So if we add to it also the space advantage that white has, that will make white's position is almost winning. Okay, so that covers bad move e6 for black. So e6 is a bad move. Now let's talk about knight f6 move. After knight f6, white will play knight takes d4, c takes d, knight e2, where white will have, after c3, next move, which we want to do, we're going to have position to very similar, which we're going to discuss in a little later after main move d6. So this is going to be like transposition to the positions we're going to discuss now. So knight f6 does not really have independent value in this position. The main move we want to discuss is d6. Now d6, now white must play knight takes d4, since I think bishop g4 is a threat, because white will get pinned. Knight takes d4, c takes d4, and knight e2. Now in this position, black has choice to play knight f6, to play e6, or to play e5. Now let's start with knight f6. On knight f6, white has two choices. One, simple continuation, c3, d takes c3 for black, d takes c3 for white. And now if black castles and white castles. Now this is an interesting position. Typical for Sicilian, it's a mixed position between Sicilian and pure defense. And I think it's just as good for white as any other position. For example, this check, king h1, queen b6 check, king h1 for white, knight g4 for black. White can simply play queen e1, and knight on g4 is not going anywhere. And later this knight will have to come back to f6. And white's plan in this position is going to be king h1, bishop to e3, queen to d2. White has interesting position, I think slightly better for white. And a similar type of position we could have gotten if black played knight f6 instead of g6. How it's going to work, we're going to see in a second. If instead of d6 here, black played knight f6, and we took on d4, black takes on d4 with cd, white goes knight e2, and black castles. Now we have a choice between taking on d4, where black will play knight takes e4, getting their pawn back, or playing c3. Now d takes c3, d takes c3. We have a similar position, which is very playable from both sides, and I still think white is slightly better. And there is one more move. Let me show you one more move, which was played by, super grandmaster Robert Hübner of Germany against me in 1985. In this position, after bishop d3, d6, knight takes d4, cd, knight e2, Hübner played knight h6. As I explained after the game, he did not want to play knight f6, because what can happen after knight f6? As we just mentioned, we have an opportunity to play c3, and we get the position we just saw, or also play knight takes d4. That's why Hübner did not play knight f6. Now, after knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, bishop takes d4 for black, white goes c3, black goes bishop g7, white goes d4, and we have position which is maybe slightly better for white.
This is Grandmaster Damian Lemos here for onlinechesslessons.net. First of all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to receive more free chess videos from us, you can just click the subscribe button below. I would also highly recommend signing up for my free mail course, the 10 Grandmaster Secrets to Dominate Chess. During this exclusive course from onlinechesslessons.net, I'll share with you my own Grandmaster shortcuts to effective attacking, defending, and growth hacks to improving your chess without complicated books or memorization. So sign up by clicking the sidebar on the right, and I know you won't be disappointed. Once more, this is Damian for onlinechesslessons.net, and I'll see you in my videos. Thank you.